Hey, what's up guys? Team Hard Life, Capt.Eric here. Alright, so for today's video I had a very good question that one of our subscribers asked me. And I'm going to go back to it because I was sitting there typing it all in. I was like, you know what, a lot of people really don't want to read a novel, but by putting out a video it's a lot easier for me to get it across too. So what it was
gotta bite. I think I got a lot of stress on my mind. It's a nice day to go. Yeah, I gotta line. I'ma call the whole team.
Dan Evans Fishing says, hey man, I just wanted your opinion on a reel for live lining giant bluefin tuna off Cape Cod. I work at a tackle shop and have access to the Akuma Makira, the Shimano Tiagras, and the Internationals. Now, he's planning on using 200-pound hollow core with 100-yard top shot of 200-pound mono with inline swivel and fluorocarbon leader, which is typical for tuna fishing and so forth because they have very, very good vision. So the fluorocarbon kind of helps keep their line from being seen by the tuna. They have the braid for the backing, so that way if that tuna decides to make a huge run or run away from them, they still have enough line to play with it. So with modern Spectras and the amount that you can pack onto an 80 wide, do you feel that a 130 reel is still necessary for fighting from the gunnel? That's a two-part question. It all depends on what kind of depth of water you're fighting in and are you willing to chase down a fish. From a boat, I would say they're going to chase it down. I mean, there really hasn't been any way that I've seen that a boat will not break away from its anchor and chase down a fish, especially if it's that big. And with that much money on the line, I figure they would. So an 80 can do it, but I wouldn't go with the regular 80. I'd go with the T-Rex 80, because with the T-Rex 80, they could still put on some thick hollow core or a higher test line of hollow core to make it work for them, so that way they can still put a lot of drag behind the fish and get it up to the boat as quickly as possible. Because obviously the longer you fight a fish, the more it can wear down the hook and also the flavor of the fish as well if you're trying to do it for selling purposes and also personal eating. I mean, you want to get it as quickly as possible. Now with the 130 though, that does several things for you. It gives you a little bit more line capacity, and from what I've played with the Avet 130, not with the Tiagras or the Penns or the Internationals, with the Avet 130 that I have actually had a chance to play with in comparison to the Shimanos, the Makira, and the Penn Internationals, I haven't really had a chance to play with those. But from what I've seen with this one, I've seen where the cranking ability is off the charts on this thing. I mean, I'm pulling 1 1/4 pound surf weights from over 1,000 yards out, and by the time I get it going, I'm literally pulling it to the surface and skipping it across the surface on high gear, not even in low gear, which is amazing because we can't do that with any of the 80s. Like, we get it going, but we can never really pull it to the surface because it's always dragging the bait. The cranking ability with the 130 Avet, the T-Rex model, this thing is a beast. I mean, it's just pulling in stuff faster than we ever have before. And I'm already too getting to the point that I'm playing with this 130 so much that when I get to my 80s, it feels like I'm playing with a 50. So if you have bigger reels and you try playing with the smaller ones, you're really going to run into that wall of, you know what, I really don't like it because I don't get all the cranking that I'm so used to with the bigger reel. And now when you go with the smaller reels, obviously the casting and stuff like that is just something that you kind of deal with because obviously you don't want to be casting a big reel all the time. Now going back to his question on the boat and stuff like that, we have noticed that with the Makiras, they have a real bad drag system. And what we're noticing is even though they're backing off the drag and doing what they need to do to ensure the long life of the drag, they're still running into that problem that it goes from 0 all the way up to 0 and then it locks over. And what we're noticing is, what I think it is that because when we go to pull in a surf weight, we're locking down that reel as much as we can because we don't want the drag to slip while we're cranking on it to pull in the surf weight from that distance. So by doing that, I am thinking that however they designed that drag on the reel, it's not made for long life of being compressed. And yes, granted, it's only an hour or hour and a half or maybe 2 hours of leaving it locked over and cranked in, still shouldn't be enough to damage a drag system, but we are seeing that it actually is. So I wouldn't pick a Makira for that kind of deal, especially if you got that much money on the line. I mean, tuna fishing is stupid expensive, and you never know if you're actually going to catch one or not. You know, it's still fishing at the end of the day. Now, in comparison to the Shimano and the Penn International 130s, they're right in the same boat. I mean, they've been battle tested for decades on both areas, on both reels, and you know, at the end of the day, it's just going to be personal preference of which angle you want your handle to be, because the Penn Internationals aren't canted off as the Tiagras have a bigger handle as well. So at the end of the day, it's going to be personal preference between those two, and again, I'd pick those two over the Makira all day long. However, I'm still going to put this in there. Fishing with the Avets, in comparison to all three of those other reels, the Avets are cheaper, for one. Two, they hold more line capacity than the Penn Internationals, or the other three reels hold less line. So you're paying more for these reels and less for this one, but this one has more line capacity, and at the end of the day, I love their drag. I mean, for us, dogging down on dead weight has been the major factor in determining which reel is going to be the best one for us. And for me, I don't like breakaway setups. We use float rigs, but it's very rare because we're always battling high surf and stuff like that. And to go out and pick your float up and stuff like that is not always in the books to be able to do. So I do have to let y'all know that hands down, I would pick an Avet 130T Rex over all of those reels, just because line capacity, the cranking ability, and then the drag. Those are the three main things. Now, the other reels, what they got is loud drags. They really do. But if you're on the boat, it really shouldn't matter too much, because you're maybe 20 feet away at most, you know what I mean? So you should be able to hear that drag, no worries. But then again, too, Avet has done a lot of improvements on their drag to where it's a lot louder. So those were just some points that I have seen being in a tackle shop and running into all the guys that have them. Obviously, I don't have the money to have all them kind of reels to be out there testing all day long. So I have to go off of the guys that have them and that fish them day in, day out, every other weekend and stuff like that. And then they come to us when they have any problems. And then I start to ask all the questions. Well, what were you doing? How were you fishing? And you know, I'm the type of tackle shop that I want to problem solve what is going on so it doesn't happen again. So by me asking our customers all these questions gives us the ability to learn, grow, and then pass on the knowledge to our subscribers and our customers at the same time too. Because if we're not helping them grow, then we're not doing our job. And for me, I love to do my job. I love to help people grow, and I love to see everyone catch fish. I've actually been going through and seeing a lot of other YouTube channels and just seeing their fishing. It's so awesome because, you know, I'm so used to here. I haven't really been able to travel the world as I want to, but it's coming. And when it does, I definitely want to have some kind of thought process as to, okay, I'm going to be fishing in this area. I've seen where they've done this, they've done this, they've done this. And granted, I'm checking out YouTubers from the same area in 5 different ways or 6 different ways of the way they fish, because sometimes, like I said, not one way of fishing is going to work for everybody else. And with this YouTuber asking me what my preference is, these are the reasons for it. But then again, too, I've also put in there too, at the end of the day, it's going to be what they personally like to work with. You know what I mean? Sometimes everybody's ergonomics of cranking in are different. From you to me to her to him to everybody, it's different. So at the end of the day, I would play with the reels and find out which one you think works best for you. But at the same time too, you got to keep the end game in mind of what you want to do with that reel when you do get it. If it's going to break down on you because the drag wears out, well, then that's not going to be a good thing. 2, are you going to run out of line? That's also not going to be a good thing. So there's a few questions you need to ask yourself on what you want to do with it and how you want to get to that end game, because that's what it's all about, is landing that fish in a good time so you can keep fishing. Because obviously you don't want to fight a fish for 30 hours and, you know, take a chance at losing it, because at any given time you can run into another toothy critter, or it can be taxed by the tax man, you know what I mean? So Again, this is just a little food for thought on why I would pick a certain reel over another, and you know, just the behind the scenes of why I got to that opinion. You know, a lot of it has to do with trial and error and what our customers bring to us. So again, thanks for watching Team Hard Life. This is Team Hard Life Captain Albert Certucci, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, I would highly encourage y'all to do so. Pass the word, pass the knowledge. Let's help each other grow. You know, that's been very blessed to be here, and I definitely am not going to miss the opportunity to help everybody else so that I can. So have a good one.